inside look at everything going on in Husker Nation. This is the KLIN Husker Hour.
Kicks and deals the 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike three. Jackson Rocket has the first 9-inning no-hitter for the Nebraska Cornhuskers since 1954, and he did it on his 12th strikeout. Stunser got it! Underdog, and then one! Exclamation point! Pump the brakes!
Now your hosts, KLIN contributor Cole Stukenholtz and sports director Nate Rohr.
Good Saturday morning. Welcome to another edition of the KLIN Husker Hour. This show will be madness, just like the basketball. And we're excited.
And it's happening in March.
It just so happens. It's March Madness. We should coin that phrase. That sounds really catchy.
Yeah, you know, I'll get the trademark paperwork in right now.
We just came up with it, just like that. First 10 seconds of the show.
Yeah.
We should be in studio together more often.
Yeah. It's brilliant.
Yes.
You know, you get two great minds like ours in one studio and the ideas percolate and things start happening.
Oh, yeah, it flows. It flows fast. That is Nate Rohr. I'm Cole Stukenholtz. We are here live on the video as well. We've got the video going on the KLIN socials. We'll get them onto the KLIN Husker Hour socials and more places going forward. But for now, go to the KLIN Twitter, Facebook, YouTube page. You will find Nate and I right there. And we're excited for this show. We've got Mike Schaefer, who will be joining us shortly to talk a little bit about spring football. We are almost there. And by this time next week, we will be there. So we'll talk to Schaefer about everything going on with football and recruiting and probably a few other things as we typically do with Schaefer. I'll have to ask him what he's feeling for opening day. It's Guardians Royals this week.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll have to.
The top two teams in the American League Central doing battle.
Yes. Cole Reagans and Tanner Beebe.
Sold out down at the K. I'm excited.
Yeah. All right. Well, I have a big day as well today because it is opening day of kindergarten girls soccer over at Wright Park. And so I'm going to be leading team leads, and I'll be coaching on the sideline.
Yes.
Yep. I'll be patrolling and making sure that the girls know which direction we need to be running, and what do we do when the ball goes out? Everybody just stops and looks back at the coaches. You know,
yes.
Game one is a little
bumpy. How'd practice go this week?
Practice went better. We've had two practices now, and I think they're starting to get the hang of it. There's a few girls who've never played before, and some that have, and you can tell which ones. But no, I'm excited. It's going to be good, and hopefully I can get my Amy Williams game right and do a really, really good coaching job.
There you go.
Unfortunately, the journey ends for Amy Williams and the Husker women's basketball team last night as they fall to Louisville in a very, very close game. For a while, it looked like they were not going to be able to keep it close in that end of second quarter, early third quarter stretch. But, man, they really turned it on and came back and grabbed a lead. I think they led by as many as 4 in that fourth quarter. But Louisville was just too strong down the stretch. Prince ends up fouling out, and Nebraska falls and ends their season in the first round of the NCAA tournament. But still, what a performance to hang with a team that was really giving them trouble with all the turnovers, their pressure defense. And to make it as far as they did with the injuries that they suffered, this was really, really good coaching by Amy Williams all the way through. Matt Coatney said it was his opinion it was her best coaching job as a coach.
Yeah, I'll defer to Mr. Coatney on this one, seeing as he's around the program every single game. But the fact that they were able to overcome the injuries that they were, and that game yesterday was kind of a microcosm of their season from the standpoint that they had a lot go against them. They turned the ball over quite a bit. They gave up quite a bit on the offensive glass to Louisville, and there were points where they could have given up. And there were, Louisville goes on the 9-0 run in the second quarter, and you sit there and think, well, this is where it ends. This is where they check out. They never checked out. They just didn't quite have enough to get over the hump to beat a really good team. And there's no shame in that. I mean, Britt Prince, I think, continues to assert herself as one of the best young guards in the country. She continues to step forward as somebody that I think can be a real cornerstone for this Nebraska women's basketball program moving forward, which is good because they're losing a tremendous player in Alexis Markowski. And Alexis did her thing yesterday, too, with a double-double. So I think it's very commendable what they were able to do amid awful circumstances. I mean, you lose 2 starters, you're in trouble. Like 2 out of 5, 40% of your starters just don't. You're that in and of itself is tough enough. Then you're talking about a Big Ten conference that got really tough this year.
Yeah,
with the additions of USC and UCLA. And yet they were able to handle it. They were able to keep their heads above water. They were able to keep fighting. So I see nothing to refute the idea that Matt Coatney has put forth. This is Amy Williams' best coaching job. And it's really one of the better coaching jobs I've seen at Nebraska. So kudos to them for being able to hang in there, keep their heads above water. Yeah, it's disappointing to lose the first round of the NCAA tournament, but with everything this team faced, I think this is a very commendable year for Nebraska women's basketball.
Yeah, you mentioned Alexis Markowski. She wrapped up an incredible career. She did get that 10th rebound right at the end and got her 53rd double-double as a Husker, extending her school record. And what a legacy that she'll leave behind. 3 seasons out of her 4, Nebraska in the tournament. They won the first round game last year. And look, she's not leaving a program that's going to be in dire straits necessarily without her. Yeah. They've got material to reload. And Natalie Potts coming back, being right there with Britt Prince, and they've got a lot of other role players who really played a role. I'm sure some of them will be asked to play a little bit more prominent role next year.
Sure.
And the beat goes on. The recruiting classes have always been pretty good under Amy Williams. You would anticipate this next one to have some contributions as well. And this program is in that mode of it's self-sustaining now, right? And they have created a standard. And Amy said it after the game. There's an expectation now that they should have won this game and gone on and advanced in this tournament. And so taking that next step. And hopefully not dealing with injuries to starters next year, you start to think ahead and say, boy, we can really make an impact nationally in a conference like the Big Ten and continue this thing as the way they've been doing it these last few seasons.
Yeah, there's reason to feel good about where this thing's going, not just because of Britt Prince, but think of Amaya Hargrove.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a very good post player, a very versatile player that you can build around. You get Natalie Potts back next year, and you think about how well she started this season.
Yeah.
I mean, she was their leading scorer through the first 3 weeks of the season before she went down to injury and was playing very well. So if she can work herself back to where she was, and that can be a real challenge, but if she can get herself back to where she was, she's going to be a real weapon for this team. It'll be interesting to see this team shift from a post-oriented team to a more guard-oriented team. It's not going to go all the way to the other pole. And there was more balance to this team than maybe you might have thought, especially after the Potts injury. But this team's going to be pretty guard-driven, I think, in the next couple of years, especially as Britt Prince asserts herself as one of the better point guards in the country.
Yeah, you mentioned Amaya Hargrove. She had 10 points and 9 rebounds off the bench. Logan Nisley hit 3 threes to give Nebraska 9 points. And I mean, Britt Prince, what more can you say about her game? 14 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, all Big Ten freshman team. She was everything as advertised as a true freshman. And the steps that she can take going forward, I'm sure, obviously it still hurts, but boy, thinking about turning the page to next season, I'm sure Amy Williams has some plans for Britt Prince and how she can become even better next season.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe a little more perimeter shooting out of her next year. I also think it was kind of a battle at some points in this season, Britt trying to integrate herself into this offense and into this team while still, distributing as a point guard, but also still looking for her shot.
Yeah.
And that was a balance she was trying to strike. Well, especially with Markowski gone, she's going to have to take more shots. And that'll be an aspect of her game that I think grows next year and through the summer, because as this team plays together and works together, they're going to understand. They're going to need her more.
Yeah, they will. And she can, maybe she was being deferential to a certain extent as a true freshman this season, but going forward, that's still going to be part of her game. But I would anticipate her being a little bit more aggressive and realizing, hey, I'm if not the star, she's at least 1A or 1B star on the team going forward with Natalie Potts returning. And so having that, that freshman season under her belt, knowing what it tastes like to get to the tournament, and the bitter defeat at the end of it, like that's you saw how she reacted to fouling out on the broadcast last night. I think it's pretty clear that she's a competitor. This is going to drive her through the offseason, and I can't wait to see how she develops her game and continues to lead this program going forward. It's not every day you get a player like that into your program,
right?
Who was local and is that good that early. So 3 more years of that is pretty exciting to think about.
No question. And hey, for Britt, it was probably just shocking for her to end a season with a loss.
Yeah,
she's absolutely not used to that. With 4 state titles at Elkhorn North, but I suspect that she'll take what she needs to take from yesterday, and it'll drive her through the summer, and she'll be good and prepared for her sophomore year.
Yeah. All right. We got more discussion about how the tournament will go, as both on the men's side and the women's side, as we continue on here this morning. There it is. We have Mike Schaefer coming up next with some football discussion. Oh, maybe ask him about his bracket picks, maybe see where he's at so far. But, more to come on the Husker men's and women's basketball. The men are still going to be playing in the Crown. And then, of course, it's diamond season, so we'll check in on baseball and softball as well. Plenty more to come here on the KLIN Husker Hour.
Which room in your home could use new flooring? Carpets Direct is your number one source for all things floors, providing free in-home estimates, unparalleled service, and a 2-year guarantee. Your home should be your sanctuary, and Carpets Direct has you covered. From plush carpet, luxury vinyl, hardwood, laminate, and sheet vinyl flooring, Carpets Direct is the ultimate flooring destination. Call or visit today, South 48th Street, Lincoln.
At Momo Pizzeria and Restaurante, they believe in the art of quality. That's why Momo uses locally sourced ingredients to craft every dish. From their hand-tossed pizzas to their house-made pastas, every bite is a taste of excellence. Taste the difference with their hearth-fired pizzas, fresh salads, and delightful desserts, all made from scratch. Dine at Momo Pizzeria and Restaurante, where local flavors meet Italian tradition. Open for lunch and dinner Monday through Saturday. Walk-in tables available. Momo Pizzeria and Restaurante. Taste the passion in every bite.
Nebraska Golf and Turf is Nebraska's premier club car distributor, offering a vehicle for everyday lifestyle. From the luxurious onward personal transportation vehicles to the rugged carry-all utility vehicles, there is a new or used club car to match every budget. Nebraska Golf and Turf also offers an experienced service department, parts and accessories, and rental vehicles for special events. Visit nebraskagolf.info to learn more or call them at 402-466-6222.
1 in 4 today are living with disability. I'm one of them. I care deeply about creating a world fully participating, free from stigma, misperceptions, and barriers. And we've got an ally on our side, an organization we can rely on, Easter Seals. Rooted in communities nationwide, Easter Seals helps empower millions of people, regardless of age or disability, through its life-changing services and powerful advocacy. Today and every day, Easter Seals is leading the way to full equity, inclusion, and access to healthcare, employment, and education for people with disabilities, families, and communities. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours. Learn more, get involved at easterseals.com.
Your Saturday morning source for everything Huskers is right here. You're listening to the KLIN Husker Hour on Lincoln's Husker Radio, 1499.3 KLIN.
Rolling along on your Saturday morning and rolling closer and closer towards spring football. It's that time of year. It's going to be a little weird not having a spring game at the end of it, Nate. But
Yeah.
I mean, you're still going to get to, have the excitement of the new players and even some new coaches and see who takes the next step, who's been on the roster and what roles they start playing on. It's that time of year.
It's time to feed the hope and feed the hype machine. The off-season national championship pursuit continues the pace, but it's about getting these pieces to fit in. I mean, Nebraska has some pieces, especially with the wide receivers and this offensive line. So the question is, how does it all fit together?
Yeah.
And I think the spring ball is going to be a big factor in setting those pieces in the right places.
Yeah, no question. And here to help out with that puzzle piece discussion is Husker 24/7's Mike Schaefer back on Husker Hour with me and Nate. Schaefer, good morning. How are you doing? Are you ready for opening day baseball? We got Guardians Royals coming up.
Yeah, the only real complaint that I have there is that I won't be able to watch it over television, and then I get blacked out using MLB TV, which I use for the Guardians.
Yep.
So I either have to listen on the radio or find a Royals friend that is willing to let me in their house, even though I'm a lunatic. Which, I think I know enough of those people, so that'll probably work itself out to be okay. But it's a little unfortunate. You get so excited for baseball to come around, and then because of archaic blackout rules, you don't even get to watch your team play on opening day in the comfort of your own home. But I'll figure that out. You guys are talking about puzzles, and I was getting a little nervous because Hudson has like a 7-piece airplane puzzle that took me way too long to figure out the other day. So,
seven pieces?
Yeah, it was. I just kept getting the wheel didn't fit the way that I wanted on this airplane. It just turned out that I was putting it in the wrong angle. But yeah, so if you're asking me to put the puzzle together at Nebraska football, it might be a bit of a disaster this morning.
Okay, so that's actually your job there, Mike. So you're saying you're not the guy, huh?
I am saying that I might need help.
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll be here for the next few minutes to maybe chat through some of this stuff. And before we get into the little bit of the spring, I want to maybe put a bow on the off season. There's always a narrative, right? And there was a big transfer class that Nebraska brought in, and I'm curious as to what your preferred narrative is about all the transfers Nebraska brought in. Is it more NIL investment? Is it the Dylan Raiola effect? Is it the Troy Dannon effect? Is it Matt Rule bailing on his developmental approach? Is it the recruiting strength of the staff? What do you think the narrative is that's most accurate for why and how Nebraska got this giant transfer class?
Well, I think Nebraska's trying to build short-term and long-term. I mean, I think they went out and they got multiple guys that are only a one-year player here. That the idea is to help Nebraska get to a better jumping-off point. This is obviously year 3 for Matt Rule, and they need to win more than the 7 games that they won last year. And I think you want to maximize what you have in Dylan Raiola. You got to go out and get some one-year guys like Dane Key to help offensively, Rocco Spindler to help on the offensive line, defensively, Deshaun McCullough and Marquez Trent or Watson Trent. And so you want to maximize Dylan Raiola. You need to maximize in some of those positions. And so they went and they got some one-year players here, but then they also added some intriguing multi-year pieces in players, the wide receiver position, especially Isaiah Hunter and Hardly Gilmore, 2 guys that I think really up that wide receiver room, both in the short term and in the long term. You combine that with Ja'Cory Barney, you have 3 sophomores there. That's a pretty nice triplet group of sophomores that can help at a wide receiver position. You grabbed Elijah Pritchett and Williams Winery, 2 former 5-star guys in the trenches, one on defense, one on offense. You're hoping Pritchett can start for you and lock down perhaps a right tackle spot for the next couple of years. He struggled at times with Alabama, so we'll see if they're able to get the best out of him. And then, Williams Winery is former 5-star guy that visited at the same time Raiola did way back in 2023. There's many pictures of him holding a gigantic boombox that he makes very small because he's a large individual. So he's someone that there's a lot of upside and should be a lot of enthusiasm about. So then on top of that, you have some interesting additions, guys, Andrew Marshall and Jameer Khan that came from the FCS level. You have the specialists that some of them are 1-year guys, Kevin Gallick, Jack McAllister, the long snapper and punter respectively. So I think they mixed and matched. Like it wasn't all right, everything's an immediate win now piece. It was we're gonna fill some spots where maybe we're a little weaker on our roster, but we also want to add some guys that over a couple of years could be really good players for us. Right? I think there was some real balance and foresight and thought that went into this transfer portal class. It wasn't just grabbing everything right in front of you. I think they had a strategy, and at least from the outside looking in, it feels like they were able to implement a lot of what they wanted to do, and they had to adjust. I mean, I don't think it's a shock for you guys to hear this, but Spindler and Pritchett were not the top offensive line targets, but they had to walk out of there with at least one offensive lineman, and they were able to get two that could be started.
Shafe, we're talking a lot about player changes that are going on for this football program. This is also a very different looking coaching staff, several position coach changes. Obviously, all three coordinators are different from this time last year. Let's take the coordinators out of the mix. Which position coach hire do you feel is going to make the biggest impact here in this 2025 season?
Yeah, I mean that's a tough thing to answer because I think you could pick really any of the new people and you can make an argument. I'd be willing to listen to it. You have a former defensive coordinator now at defensive back in Addison Williams, who's really well liked in the recruiting trail. I think Braden is going to be a slam dunk hire along the defensive line. But the one I think I would choose here is Akil Short because he had success at Kentucky. He's worked with Dana Holgorsen. I think he's instrumental in the passing game plan that this team is going to have going forward. And it's not just him, right? I can't remember the name, but they brought another assistant from Kentucky over that worked with Shorts and that Dane Key gave a shout out to a couple weeks ago that was instrumental in helping him become a better all-around wide receiver. And so I think I like Garrett McGuire a lot. He was young in his career. I think he received way too much backlash for being young in his career, and I do think he's going to be a future head coach someday. But I think Short and the fit with Holgorsen is really going to help Nebraska and their offense kind of grow forward. I expect the wide receiver play to be better. I really do. I thought that was one of the more disappointing elements of last year's season with guys like Jamal Banks and Isaiah Nair, and we know what kind of athleticism Nair had. We know that Banks could be reliable and productive, and it just never felt like it got to the level where the expectation was, let alone guys like Jalen Lloyd and others. So I'm looking at that wide receiver room with Short. You know, I'm expecting an immediate impact there from a guy who's not quite a veteran coach. I think this is his 4th, 5th year, but he's someone who knows what Dana Holgorsen wants as a former player, knows what Dana Holgorsen wants as a former coach is, and can implement both of those things and can help these guys and really raise that wide receiver position, which can help raise the offense overall.
Mike Schaefer from Husker 24/7 joining us here on Husker Hour. Shafe, can I sell you on tight end Heinrich Haarberg being the most important non-quarterback on the 2025 offense?
I don't think you can sell me on it. I am 100% willing to listen to the argument.
Okay, well, he's the versatility, the fact that he can apparently just stick his nose in and block with that big body of his, as well as the speed and the athleticism to run routes. You can move him out. You can keep him in line. And you can run trick plays with him if you want and have him throw. Like, there's so much versatility that Dana Holgorsen's going to have with a player like that I think you can really you don't necessarily build the offense around him because you do have Dylan Raiola, but you can do a lot of things that kind of center around his skill set from a play calling standpoint.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see the creativity that can be unlocked with somebody like that. I think over there, they have more confidence in Haarberg's ability to seamlessly step into a position that he's just going to be playing for really the first time in his development. This is a guy that was a quarterback from middle school on out there in Kearney. And so he's learning new concepts and new things, but he is an incredibly hard worker. I have a ton of respect for Heinrich Haarberg, and the reason I don't know that I can buy the argument is that I think that person is Emmett Johnson. And I think Nebraska is going to ask a lot of Emmett Johnson to help lighten the load a little bit for Dylan Raiola. And I'm excited about what we saw in the passing game with Nebraska and Emmett Johnson at the end of last year with Dana Holgorsen. I think there's something there. I think that they can utilize the short passing game to mitigate some of the stack box in the running game, to open things up, to set other things up. I mean, the amount of plays you can design in your head of where you string the running back out and the linebacker tailing the running back and you sneak the tight end across the middle, or you have everything moving in one direction and then you're throwing back and across because Dylan Raiola has that kind of arm talent to a dainty down the field. I mean, I just think there's a lot you can do if you can create something out of the running back passing game. And then that says nothing about what Emmett Johnson can do as a runner. I think we saw improvement there in Dana Holgorsen's 4 games with the offense. So I think Emmett Johnson is maybe the most intriguing non-Dylan Raiola offensive player, and that's saying a lot because you have Dane, you have Isaiah Hunter, you have Corey Barney, you have Heinrich Harburg. They love Luke Lindemeyer, but there's something about Emmett Johnson, the commitment that they made, that they wanted him back, the fact that Dante Dowdell left town. I think they still need to find another running back beyond Emmett. I don't know that he can just be and I know Matt McMaster hates this word, and I'm sure he's not up listening right now, but bell cow. I'm not sure that Emmett Johnson can be a bell cow here, but I think that you can get him a lot of touches in a variety of ways, and you kind of let him go to work. And I have talked myself into it here recently of being pretty intrigued by what could happen at that position. And so that's kind of the pushback that I would have on Harvard, because I think Johnson might be really critical to what this offense is supposed to look like with Holgorsen in this first year.
We're talking a lot about offense here, Shafe. Let's flip it over to the defense. You have John Butler now as the defensive coordinator, and he was on the staff last year. He has a slight defensive coordinator background. And when he's talked about his vision for the defense, he said, it's not going to look all that different first and second down, but third down is where we're going to make some changes. How different is this defense going to look under John Butler?
I think they're going to be really aggressive in terms of blitzing. I think one of the things out of Ty Robinson, or not knowing what you have with that offensive line, you have to take a few more chances of trying to get to the quarterback to end plays or to end series, end drives, create turnovers, create havoc. So I think that's what John Butler means. And we saw that in the bowl game. They blitzed a lot. There's a difference, though. We all watch enough football. We all know that there's teams out there, and we all know that a Wink Martindale exists where you blitz on every play, or Brian Flores, or whoever it is. There's a difference between blitzing and being smart about it. And so I think that's what John Butler has to figure out is how can you set things up that when you set the blitz, because you're vacating an area of the field that either you're covering that back up, you're disguising things in such a way to confuse a quarterback, or you're getting home. I mean, those are the things that have to happen. Because in the bowl game, Nebraska blitzed sometimes. They didn't get home. They were kind of getting picked apart on the edges of the field. And so then your corners have to be playing better. There's a lot that goes into it. But They have a whole off season to work on that. I think they're going to be pretty aggressive. I thought that was one of the things Tony White was a little more comfortable letting his defensive line set the tone. And obviously you have Jamari Butler. You have Nash Hutmaker, James Williams, and Ty Robinson. I get that. Like it makes less sense to blitz if you can get pressure up front with those 4. I don't know what Nebraska's going to have in terms of their upfront pressure. And so that's why I think you're going to see John Butler employ more blitzing and on the money down, if you will. And I think that's going to be the biggest noticeable shift in the defense. Otherwise, there are going to be multiple defensive fronts. They're going to try to play through their front 7 and their defensive line especially. That's never going to change. I mean, that's Matt Rhule football. That has nothing to do with John Butler. It's just going to be on third down, they have to potentially get more aggressive to create some pressure, and they're going to be more willing to do that in 2025 than they were in 23 or 24.
Last one from me, and I'm going to go back to offense. What are realistic expectations for Dylan Raiola in 2025?
It's hard to put statistical expectations on it. I mean, what I want to see, you bring down some of the turnovers. I would like to see a little bit more in terms of confidence. He had such a bad stretch in the middle of the season, and that coincided with they played 2 college football playoff teams back to back. I mean, you don't get credit for who's on your schedule because you play in the Big Ten and everybody's good, yada yada yada. But that's tough. I mean, this is a true freshman, so I want to see some growth in the confidence aspect. Obviously, you want to see better ball security. Though I don't think it's terrible for somebody playing in his first go around in major college football. And then I would love to see an improvement on the deep ball accuracy. The kind of the startling thing is every evaluator, whether it's 24/7 or on 3 or rivals or some guy in his basement, doesn't matter. Everyone loves his accuracy on deep passes as a high school player. And that was supposed to be one of the things that was going to translate pretty well for him. And the deep balls just did not work in the Marcus Satterfield offense. And really with Dana Holgorsen, it was kind of hit or miss. Now with Dane Key, with Hunter, can that change? Are you able to take advantage of that? Harvey Gilmore or Corey Barney get first by a safety? I mean, in Nebraska, get chunk plays in the passing game that sort of weren't there for much of the last 2/3 of the season. That's where Dylan Raiola can make a big jump for me. So if he's able to be better at attacking downfield, I think the whole picture of Nebraska's offense is going to look a little better. And some of that is if teams have to worry about Emmett Johnson, that opens up everything down the field. So it all has to work in conjunction. It's never just going to be Dylan Raiola by himself, but there are certain things that he can be better at that'll make the program better overall.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It always is, and we're excited to see what happens, and we'll follow all the coverage on Husker 24/7. Mike Schaefer, thanks a lot for the time, and I think I speak for everybody on this show when I say go Royals.
Go Royals.
I mean, you might speak for everybody on the show in the studio, but certainly not on the phone line. So, I mean, hey, if you win the season opener, I think I have the Royals to win the division. I think that's my pick.
Wow.
Let's go.
We'll see if that holds up. I don't think the Twins are that good, and I think the Tigers are still a little bit away yet. Cleveland didn't make any moves in the offseason. The Royals have the best lineup. I'm going. They have the best player in the division, and Bobby Witt, the best lineup. So
everybody's a big Bobby Witt guy these days.
It hurts to say that. Obviously, Jose Ramirez is a future Hall of Famer, but Bobby Witt might be on another level. So
I like to hear it. Well, hey, we appreciate it, Shafe. We'll talk again soon.
All right, guys, take care. Have a good one. Have a great week. Enjoy the basketball.
Yes, sir. A lot of basketball to be played. All right, there he goes. Mike Schaefer, Husker 24/7. Always good to catch up with Shafe. It's Royals Guardians. Let's do it.
Yeah, opening day. So fired up for it. Hey, but I gotta say, don't the games in Japan take some of the juice out of Major League Baseball opening day for you? They do for me.
I forgot they were. It didn't make a difference to me. But yeah, it could. It certainly could be a little bit.
Although it was cool having baseball on while Jack and I did the show this week.
That's right. That's right.
A different experience.
Yeah, it's only that in Olympics. Overseas Olympics is where you get that. Yeah. All right, good stuff from Shafe. We'll react a little bit to that to some Husker football stuff, but a lot of baseball and softball to get to. Plus, I've got a stat about Nebraska men's basketball as it relates to the NCAA men's tournament that will probably surprise you. We'll get all that coming up here on the KLIN Husker Hour. Stick with us.
Yep. We got another lawn looker. Raise lawn and home care, aerate, oversee, do lawn treatments, and make the place look beautiful, like a lush carpet. It catches the eye of a neighbor or really anyone passing by, and they just can't look away. They go into this state where they're dreaming about what Rays can do for their lawn.
It's so beautiful.
Only one way to get them back.
New spring customers get 20% off a 5-step program, including grub control, Rays Lawn and Home Care.
In the midst of adversity, some are built to run towards the chaos. That's the drive that defines a Nebraska State Trooper. Mission-focused, service-minded, always ready. If you have the drive, we'll help you build a career. Applications are now open to become a Nebraska State Trooper. Numerous career paths, unlimited potential, making a difference for the people in communities all across Nebraska. Apply today at nebraskatroopers.com.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Are you a parent of a 2 to 8 year old? Listen closely for an exciting offer, then head to abcmouse.com/radio to learn more. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the award-winning online learning program.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Designed by education experts, ABC Mouse seamlessly aligns with what your child is already learning in school. And with over 10,000 learning activities and more than 850 lessons, it's an engaging and comprehensive curriculum. More info at abcmouse.com/radio.
I have been teaching for 13 years, and I've never seen a program like ABC Mouse. It encompasses science, math, reading, social studies.
We're offering a promo at abcmouse.com/radio to try it free for a month, then $14.99 per month until canceled. Go to abcmouse.com/radio to see this offer. That's abcmouse.com/radio. Actual ABC Mouse users compensated for their testimonials. Sponsored by Age of Learning.
Giving you an inside look at everything Huskers. This is the KLIN Husker Hour on 1499.3 KLIN.
Big thanks to Mike Schaefer, Husker 24/7. He was on the first show that I did back in the Huskers Illustrated Radio days.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. Mike Schaefer and Milt Tenneper.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good get.
That was show number 1. We're like 450 some shows in now, but
how about that?
But yeah, Schaeff had some good thoughts. I thought I couldn't quite sell him on the Heinrich Haarberg being the center point of the offense. Not that he's wrong. I mean, Emmett Johnson certainly has more, a little bit more cachet, a little bit more credibility in terms of impact to the offense in his position. But Heinrich Haarberg, boy, the possibilities there are fun. I wonder where you're at in terms of who you think could impact this season the most from a new coach standpoint. You asked the question to Schaefer. Where are you thinking?
Well, I think Schaefer went where I was thinking with Da'Keel Shorts because, first off, the wide receiver room needs the most improvement. And if they take a step forward, you're talking about opening up Dylan Raiola. You're talking about getting the most out of him. And that also opens things up for Emmett Johnson because now they have to go out and help on these wide receivers, Key, Barney, etc., to where now there are some running lanes for Emmett Johnson. So I asked it with the idea that it's probably Da'Keel Shorts, and he went there. I'm not surprised that he went there, and I think that wide receiver room will be much improved. It's going to be good to have that mesh between Dana Holgerson and the wide receiver coach because you just sense that there was something off in that working relationship. I mean, the way Dana Holgerson talked about how Nebraska's wide receivers didn't block well at all. You know, they weren't blocking and they weren't getting open. And that was something that I think we all knew, we all understood, but we had never heard stated so bluntly as Dana Holgerson stated it. And if you're stating it that bluntly, you know, you're stating it that bluntly to the media. I mean, I don't know that Dana is the guy that has much of a filter on him. So maybe the story isn't so different in the meeting room, but you know, how much more sharp is the criticism when you're behind closed doors?
Right. I mean, yeah. If you're saying that out loud to everybody, there may be a lot different behind closed doors, or you may just be that dude no matter what, too. Yeah. So that may help. You're certainly right. I think it helped the last 3 games with Holgerson, just kind of telling it like he saw it.
Yeah.
And that having his guy now wide receivers coach will I don't think it'll hurt. I'm very interested in defensive backs. If you go back, this is the 4th different DBs coach in 4 seasons. You have Addison Williams now. You had John Butler last year. You had Evan Cooper the year before in Matt Rule's first season. And then you go back to 2022, and it was Travis Fisher and Scott Frost last season. Yeah. So those guys who've been there for a few years, there's not a lot of maybe some consistency in some basic stuff. But, boy, there's just been a lot of turnover there. So having somebody get in there and quickly establish himself with the guys in the room and quickly make it known that he's there for them and he's going to put them in position to succeed, and he's on the same page with the defensive coordinator. And that's so important to be able to go off quick with this spring, especially as you start getting these players out on the field and seeing how you operate and in the defense, I should say. So it's not necessarily that he's the most important, but if he doesn't get it right and doesn't get it right early, I think that really can hold the defense back, because that's a position group that's been tossed in the air a lot in terms of their coaching staff.
Yeah, and you also look, I mean, they lose quite a bit of material from last year, so they need young guys. They need to be settled very early, and especially if John Butler's going to blitz, as much as Mike Schaefer's talking about him blitzing, the fact of the matter is your DBs have to be really good, or at least really good for a short period of time. I mean, if you're blitzing, they better be able to cover for 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And if they're not able to cover for those 3 seconds, you're in trouble, because they're going to pick you apart. So hopefully that gets addressed here in the offseason. But you do feel like there's more on Addison Williams than Terry Braden, because you feel good about the defensive line.
Yeah.
And even though they lost arguably more than the defensive backs, you also feel there's better potential there. They also hit it harder in the portal. I mean, getting Williams Winery is just such a big get.
Yeah.
So you feel like they've got more to work with up front, and you have fewer problems, whereas in the defensive backfield, you just don't know. So I agree with the idea that on the defensive side of the ball, Addison Williams is the guy, is the most important position coach.
Yeah, with that front seven, you mentioned how you still feel pretty good even though they lost a lot up front. It's a Matt Rule coach team. They're going to be strong on the defensive line, and you got Riley Van Poppel, Cam Lenhart, Elijah Judy, Williams Winery. I'm really excited to see Dasan McCullough and how he fits in and how they can utilize his skill set. And don't forget about some of the other young guys that you can see coming up in terms of making an impact and playing a larger role. Vincent Shavers, Willis McGahee had a few sacks late last season as well, and so there's a lot to like in that front seven. Offensively, as we talked a lot about that with Schaefer, but I think it's fascinating to think about how Dylan Raiola could improve on true freshmen don't do a lot of what he did last year.
Right.
He had that swoon, as Schaefer mentioned, in the middle of the year, but boy, there's still some throws that he makes that just you don't see college kids make, let alone true freshmen in college make. And so to give him another offseason, to give him a full offseason with Dana Holgerson, who I think is certainly an upgrade over Marcus Satterfield in terms of the offensive coordinator spot, and to give him more weapons and more explosive weapons on the outside with Dane Key and Isaiah Hunter, and you see Ja'Cory Barney in another year as he continues to develop. That's really exciting to me in terms of how you can see Raiola grow. Hopefully the offensive line is stable as you have to replace a couple starters there, but him taking a step and being more consistent throughout the entire season. If you just raise the floor on a couple of those really bad performances from the offense, you just raise the floor a little bit on Dylan Raiola's performance.
Sure.
Those flip to wins this season.
No doubt. I mean, the margin on Dylan is not that far. This is not where you're just going, Mickey Joseph here, where you just went, our quarterback play is terrible, or Rule's first year, where you're going, we don't have an answer at quarterback. I mean, Dylan was good last year, but our expectations, I think, were pretty inflated on him for a variety of reasons. And so, another year of growth, another year of learning, some better weapons on the outside, and a more consistent running game.
Yes.
I mean, this is where Emmett Johnson is so important, because I think they just weren't sure what to do with them all last year, or at least until the end of the year, until Holgerson stepped in. I think they spun their wheels. They weren't sure, okay, is Dowdell going to be our feature guy? If Ramir Johnson's healthy, is he going to be our feature? The Emmett Johnson guy can do a little of both, but, we don't know. I think among other benefits that Dana Holgerson brought to the table, he simplified everything and said, look, this Emmett Johnson guy can do everything we need him to do. Let's use him.
Yeah.
And let's use him a lot. And I suspect that that's going to be the order with the running backs next year is Emmett Johnson being the bell cow. And we don't have to worry about McMaster
no.
being awake. I mean, he's a 20-something without kids. Are you nuts? He's got another hour here.
Well, I mean, last night was Friday night.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He didn't have to be up early today to do a show.
No.
Those Saturday days are past him. He's a Monday through Friday guy now.
Oh, yeah. He's enjoying the social ramble on Friday nights.
Absolutely. McMaster, we kid because we love. Well, we've got more to come as the show continues. A lot to get to in terms of baseball and softball from the last week, plus that Husker basketball stat relative to the NCAA tournament. No, it's not the one that you think. It's specific to this year, and it's enlightening. I think it'll surprise some folks. So that is all coming up as we continue on here on the KLIN Husker Hour.
Enroll in Farm Bureau Financial Services Driveology, and you'll instantly save 10% on your auto insurance premium. Over time, your safe driving habits could earn you even bigger savings, up to 50%. Learn more and start saving with Driveology at fbfs.com/save. 10% savings applied at enrollment for select coverages. Future savings based on individual driving behaviors and varies by coverages selected. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company.
Impaired hearing is more than an inconvenience.
Seek shelter, there's heavy flooding and 80 mile an hour.
Christensen Hearing Analytics offers comprehensive hearing exams and the most up-to-date technologies to make it easier for you to interact with and hear what's happening in the world. This can become this. Free screening, consultations, and even free house calls. We want you to hear what people really have to say. Christensen Hearing Analytics, 6140 Village Drive, Suite 1.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to goodrx.com/GLP. That's goodrx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
It's tax season. By now, we're all a bit tired of numbers, but here's one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much money in refunds the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now, here's a good number, 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity's stolen, they'll fix it guaranteed. Save up to 40% in your first year with promo code CLAY. Visit lifelock.com. That's lifelock.com, promo code CLAY. Terms apply.
Giving you a complete review of the Huskers news this week. This is the KLIN Husker Hour on Lincoln's Husker Radio, 1499.3 KLIN.
What a treat it's been to have Husker softball play-by-play man Nate Rohr in the studio with me all morning, but he's got softball later today. He'll be out at Bowling Stadium, but it is a chance now to get our weekly catch-up on Husker softball. Where do things stand as of now?
Well, Nebraska an 8-0 winner yesterday over Minnesota, a run rule win. The 15th Mercy Rule win this year.
Seems like every time they win, they're Mercy Rule.
Yeah, 15 out of 21 wins.
Wow.
The offense was dominant. Any worries you might have had about Jordy Ball after a couple week kind of bump in the road? She came out and dominated yesterday. One hit shutout, and that one hit traveled the distance from me to you. It was a little leader in front of the catcher. And the Nebraska offense jumped on Minnesota pitching. I mean, the Gophers have struggled this year in the circle particularly, and just run prevention in general. So this is an opportunity for Nebraska's offense to really step out and do the job. You feel good about their chances to win this series and maybe sweep it. And they need to do that. The Ohio State series was weird in that only 2 of the 3 games counted in the conference standings. So you're sitting at 1-1 after the first weekend. You feel okay with that. But, you know, for NCAA tournament considerations, you left the game out there
in
Columbus. And so you've got to make up for that. Not to say that, sweeping Minnesota instead of just winning the series does that, but you want to pile up all the wins you can. You feel good about the Huskers' chances to do that, and the offense is there. This is one of the best offenses in all of college softball. It's just, can this team get enough pitching to win in the Big Ten? And I mean, the Big Ten schedule the rest of the way is pretty manageable. I mean, Northwestern out there is going to be a challenge. Washington's playing a little better, but they're not they're down from where they've been. So this is a manageable road ahead for Nebraska softball.
Yeah, and the first pitch today is 1
o'clock first pitch at beautiful Olin Stadium. We'd love to see you out there if you can make it.
Yep. And then tomorrow noon
first pitch.
Yep.
Right.
Very good. So
and then they play at Omaha Wednesday,
Yeah.
which should be interesting. They've got Mattia Groff, an All-American who transferred from Southern Illinois. So that's going to be a challenging midweek non-conference game for them. Should be a huge crowd up in Omaha.
Yeah, I would bet. Husker baseball is still out west. They finished up the UCLA series late last week, had Pepperdine in the midweek, and then they're with USC now. They got swept by the Bruins, Nate, and that was a tough series. They're struggling to find offense. They got a little bit better against Pepperdine. 2 wins there. Carson Giassa, they may have found something with that kid on Tuesdays. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see him on the weekend next year. But he has been very, very good in his 2 starts so far. And then yesterday, Huskers opened the weekend series. They lost 5-3 against USC. Dylan Carey is starting to come around and lead this offense. He was 1 for 4 with a 2-run double. But they're just struggling to get runs at this point, Nate.
Yeah, and especially where they're missing their Friday night starter, Mason McConaughey, all the runs you can get, you need to get. And they're just not scoring enough. And I think they're still trying to adjust this rotation to be able to deal with losing their best starter, which is a pretty substantial loss to lose a guy of All-American talent, 2 weeks into the season.
Yeah. So Husker baseball will continue their series with USC and then finally get back to Nebraska after that. Husker wrestling is in the NCAA championships this weekend, and they are killing it out there. They're still sitting in second place in the team standings, Nate, only behind Penn State. They have 3 wrestlers in the finals today. It's Brock Hardy, Rich Levitt, and Antrell Taylor. And there was a run yesterday. They won 11 straight matches between the guys who were still going for first and the guys in the consolation rounds. They really have shown themselves well.
Yeah, this is, you talk about Amy Williams, the coaching job she's done. This might be Mark Manning's best job in a lengthy and distinguished career at Nebraska. And, this team's hanging in there. You have 141, Brock Hardy, Ridge Levitt, 149, Antrell Taylor, 157. So in the middle of the finals session tonight, that starts at 6. You're going to have 3 straight Huskers wrestling for titles. And I mean, here Nebraska is, they're ahead of Iowa in the team standings.
Yeah.
They're ahead of Oklahoma State. And, there were years where Nebraska was really good, but just could never catch up with Oklahoma State. Right now they lead them. So really good showing. You hope they finish strong today and put the bow on a really very good season, arguably Mark Manning's best at Nebraska.
Yeah, and Christopher Minto is also wrestling for potentially 3rd place earlier in the day at 165.
Right.
So best of luck to the Husker wrestlers as they finish up the season tonight out at the NCAA championships. All right, back with more, and we'll wrap things up, get you ready for the weekend here on the KLIN Husker Hour.
You're listening to the KLIN Husker Hour. Executive Travel Talk is next on 1499 free KLIN.
Looking for top-notch vet care without breaking the bank? Check out Stransky Veterinary Center at 55th and O Street, operated by Capital Humane Society. They cater to every pet and every budget, offering basic veterinary services from spay and neutering or vaccinations to pet dental care. Affordable quality care is just a call or click away. Schedule your appointment today at StranskyVeterinaryCenter.org or call 402-473-5370. Stransky Veterinary Center, where compassionate care meets affordability.
Aging Partners NeighborLink connects volunteers with homebound seniors age 60 and over and persons with disabilities who need additional support. Volunteers will help pick up and deliver groceries, library books, meals, and medications, or maybe a friendly voice who's just checking in. Call 441-7575 or visit neighborlnk@lincoln.ne.gov. Sponsored by the City of Lincoln, Aging Partners, and the Seniors Foundation. NeighborLink, 441-7575.
The trip of the summer is coming. Collective Soul. Live. Summer Unity Tour 2025, August 21st, Pinewood Bowl Theater in Lincoln's Pioneers Park with Our Lady Peace. Special guest, Graylin James Rue. Tickets on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Collective Soul, live. Our Lady Peace, together. Husker football, basketball, baseball, and beyond. This is the KLIN Husker Hour on 1499.3 KLIN.
All right. Well, in honor of March Madness, and I know Nebraska men's basketball did not qualify this season, but they're still playing in the Crown, guys. I've got
Crown Fever, catch it, baby.
That's right. So I've got a stat. So Nebraska played 10 teams this season that made the NCAA tournament. They went 4-7 in those games. 4-7. That they played Maryland twice, so that's why they have 11 games against 10 teams. Those 10 teams made 10-0 in the first round this year in the NCAA tournament. They won every single game, every single opponent, and 4 of those teams Nebraska beat. They beat Creighton, Oregon, Illinois, UCLA. All of those teams are into the second round. The Big Ten's had a strong tournament. Probably helps that they didn't have a lot of low seeds. They didn't have any bubble teams when Nebraska and Ohio State fell off of it.
Right.
But it shows you the strength of Nebraska's schedule that they played St. Mary's. They played them, and St. Mary's had a big comeback to stay alive and beat Vanderbilt. Look, they were right there for like the last month of the season, and they just couldn't get over the hump and get that last win or two to put them right on the bubble. And it's disappointing, but they played a tough schedule, and it's pretty indicative of how difficult it is in the Big Ten when you see how they've done so far in the tournament.
No doubt about it. I mean, they were challenged all season long, and it just drives you nuts that they couldn't quite get over the hump. I mean, it feels like that golfer that's right by the hole and has a 3-foot putt, and they miss the first one to the left, and the next one to the right, and the next one a little short, and they hit the next one a little too hard. I mean, it was just right stinking there for them. Yeah. They couldn't grab it.
Yeah, couldn't quite get it done. And so they will play in the Crown. That one is we're still a couple weeks away from that after the Elite
March
8.
the 31st.
Yeah. So
boy, practice for a couple of weeks just to wait for that tournament.
We might have portal news by then.
Yeah.
You never know. All right. So Husker softball today and tomorrow, 1 o'clock and noon. They're over at Bullen Stadium against Minnesota. Husker baseball is out west. They're taking on USC. 2 more games in that tournament. You'll hear those games right here on KLIN. The game times are
4 o'clock for tomorrow or for today, and we'll check.
All right, tomorrow as well. So keep it tuned here to KLIN for Husker baseball, and softball will be over on Huskers.com. For Mike Schaefer, for Nate Rohr, I'm Cole Stukenholtz. And enjoy the tournament, enjoy all the rest of the sports going on, and go Husker wrestling out of the NCAA championships, a chance for 3 gold medals. Go Big Red.
Impaired hearing is more than an inconvenience.
Seek shelter, there's heavy flooding and 80-mile-an-hour.
Christensen Hearing Analytics offers comprehensive hearing exams and the most up-to-date technologies to make it easier for you to interact with